Hi, my name is Josh Thomas and I'm a newspaper student on Cardiff's postgraduate newspaper journalism course. I'm joined today by Oliver Holt, former JOMEC alumnus and now chief sports writer for the Daily Mirror. Oliver, welcome back to Cardiff.
Thanks, Josh.
You're going to be talking to our newspaper students today. What's going to be the main focus of your talk?
Well, I'm gonna try and speak not as little as possible, but I don't particularly want to give a speech as such. I'd rather take questions. But I suppose inevitably one of the themes is going to be, you know, how to access the journalism industry. I mean, I guess that's why you guys are here in the first place. Things are different, I think, now than they were when I was here 20 years ago. It's probably harder in some ways, although to get into journalism. Although I think equally there are a lot more avenues that are opening up in terms of websites and things that are a way through for students now. So I think that'll probably be one of the main themes.
What advice would you give to a journalist who's just starting out now?
Well, I think probably pretty boring advice and stock kind of generic advice, which would be to work hard. And I'm aware that is boring, but in my experience of my career and also the career of other people that I've come across, there aren't any shortcuts really. And I guess that kind of that applies to journalism. It applies to a lot of other walks of life as well. You know, work hard. When I got my first job in Liverpool, I worked all the hours God sent. I did different disciplines. I was a reporter. I was also a sub. I'd do extra shifts. I mean, that was because I loved it, and I think, you know, again, it's something that you hear quite a lot, and hopefully you guys are already going down this road because you're here. But you know, find something that you love doing, and you'll be good at it.
And finally, if you would start your career again tomorrow, is there anything that you've done so far that you'd perhaps do differently?
Well, you know, I've certainly made a lot of mistakes, and so I suppose in some ways, you know, it's natural to think you will go back and correct those. I mean, I think I would look at maybe some individual things. Like I remember when I worked on the Times as the motor racing correspondent, I did a story once at the Monaco Grand Prix that Jean Alesi's girlfriend had been barred from the Ferrari pit, and the story was the main page 3 lead on the Times in news the next day, which was a Saturday. And I remember walking down the pit lane the next day with one of my colleagues from the Sun actually, and John Alesi's girlfriend was standing in the Ferrari pit, and my friend was bent over double, laughing. And so the embarrassment of that stayed with me for some time. And Jean Alesi, who was quite a fiery character, eventually pinned me up against a wall a few years later. So I would change individual mistakes like that, but I suppose I've made a lot wider mistakes as well. But I think that I wouldn't change them because I hope that I'd like to think that I've learned from them. And again, these are cliches, but you have to learn from your mistakes. And by and large, I don't think I've made those mistakes again. And everybody's going to make mistakes, so I wouldn't really change anything.
You've made you the journalist you are today. Oliver, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Pleasure, Josh. Pleasure. Thanks, mate.